de noviembre vamos a estar en vivo desde Las Vegas, Nevada. Wilfredo Vázquez de Puerto Rico, con un estupendo récord, ahí lo tienen ustedes en pantalla, 31-6-3, con 26 knockouts en...
The following is a special presentation of HBO Sports.
Jim, I see this stunt fight between George Foreman's 70s Cadillac and Evander Holyfield's 90s Corvette.
Left, right, Holyfield, and the left and the right, and Foreman's in serious trouble. Another left hook, and the right. Will George go down?
And Tyrell, undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Evander Holyfield.
After April 19, instant celebrity.
The winner and still heavyweight champion of the world, Evander, the real deal, Holyfield.
Evander Holyfield, would you pump a burger in the mouth for 59 cents? You bet I would. This is a breakfast buddy from Burger King.
But soon Evander Holyfield's attention would shift from Hollywood and Madison Avenue to an intimidating ex-champion and the heavyweight division's manifest destiny. July 10, Holyfield and Mike Tyson signed to fight. Promoted as boxing's richest payday, the challenger's guarantee, $15 million. The champion was to receive a staggering $30 million. Then the incessant turbulence of Mike Tyson's life would rock the fight's foundation. September 9, Tyson was indicted for rape in Indianapolis.
Tyson faces 1 count of rape, 2 counts of criminal deviant conduct, and 1 count of confinement, charges which could put him in prison for upwards of 63 years. Tyson has said on more than one occasion that he fears no man, but he acknowledges that charges from an 18-year-old beauty pageant contestant have him worried.
I didn't do nothing. He knows what happened. I know what happened, and we're going to prove to him innocent.
September 10, promoter Dan Duba proclaimed that regardless of the events in Indianapolis, the fight would go on. Both fighters returned to rigorous training, but then a swift and final blow sent the promotion crumbling to the canvas. October 8th, rumors surfaced that Mike Tyson had injured his ribs.
And then I started doing some sit-ups, and I was doing the sit-ups, and I just heard the crack, and it said, pow! And I was excruciating pain. I just went down on the couch, just laid down.
October 18th, the fight was officially postponed, and Tyson was left to ponder an uncertain future. Meanwhile, the next day, Evander Holyfield went into his Houston gym and celebrated his birthday. Then immediately, he left for Atlanta to follow his beloved Braves as they stretched the World Series to 7 memorable games. Finally, on October 24, Evander Holyfield signed to fight Francesco Damiani. The champion returned to Houston to resume training. But just 6 days prior to the scheduled fight, after having twisted his ankle, the 33-year-old Italian suddenly pulled out. Now it's Holyfield versus Bert Cooper, and we're in Atlanta, Georgia, amid the chaos of HBO Sports World Championship Boxing. Downtown Atlanta on a crisp late autumn night. A city which has undergone major reconstruction through the 80s and early 90s, where tonight HBO Sports presents World Championship Boxing. We are live in the Omni, where first 1988 heavyweight Olympic gold medalist Lennox Lewis faces 1984 heavyweight Olympic gold medalist Tyrell in a fight scheduled for 10 rounds. Then in the main event, undisputed heavyweight champion Evander Holyfield faces surprise challenger Bert Cooper. It is scheduled for 12 rounds. Tickets here tonight were purposely scaled down to $25 so that Evander Holyfield could extend to everyone in Atlanta the opportunity to see a heavyweight championship fight. The last time Holyfield fought here at the Omni was on July 12, 1986, when he won the WBA junior heavyweight title with a 15-round decision, a scintillating fight against Dwight Muhammad Qawi.
And new Evander Holyfield!
Now in the wake of the Tyson postponement, the Damiani dropout, and amid the post-World Series fervor, Holyfield comes home again to what should be an emotional and charged-up crowd in this modern arena. And hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Lampley. Welcome back to HBO Championship Boxing as big-time heavyweight fights come back to Atlanta for the first time since Muhammad Ali launched his return to the ring from forced exile 21 years ago here in October of 1970 against Jerry Quarry. Our own fight analyst Larry Merchant was here on that night. He's seen most of the big fights for the last 2 decades. Here we are again, and what about the circumstances that bring us back here for Holyfield, Bert Cooper?
Jim, this is a sort of college football homecoming for Evander Holyfield. The purpose of a homecoming game is to send the alumni home happy, the hometown fans. And the way you do that is by not scheduling Miami, by scheduling Long Beach State. And Bert Cooper is Long Beach State for Evander Holyfield.
You're bound to have had a lot of memories of Ali Quarry these last couple of days.
Yes, I have. In fact, I took a walk downtown, and a lot of that stuff came back to me. It was one of the most extraordinary events I ever covered. 2 things stand out. The colorful assemblage of hustlers and rustlers from all over the country that came back to see Ali fight Jerry Quarry, who was one of the best heavyweights of his time. And secondly, Bill Cosby sat right nearby, said to me just before the fight, "I'm so excited, I wish they'd fight for 2 weeks. I'll settle tonight for about 6 rounds."
Well, of course, Quarry and Ali only went 3 rounds. We'll see how long it's going to be for Holyfield and Cooper a little later on in the evening. But first, rising young heavyweight star Lennox Lewis of England, fighting for only the 2nd time in the United States against former heavyweight contender Tyrell Biggs. Normally, George Foreman would be the 3rd man here for us tonight, but George is training for his December 7 live HBO bout against Jimmy Ellis, and we are privileged to have here filling George's shoes a boxing legend, trainer, manager, and television commentator Gil Clancy. Gil, what about the upcoming Lennox Lewis fight? What do you think of him?
Well, you know, Lennox Lewis won the Super Heavyweight Championship in the Olympics by knocking out Riddick Bowe. Since then, Riddick Bowe's taken the express lane to the top. Lewis decided to play it slow. He's fought all those fights. This is the yardstick. He's going to fight a guy that Riddick Bowe knocked out in a tough fight in Tyrell Biggs. This is the yardstick for him.
Bowe had a tough fight with Biggs that went 8 rounds. Is there a business incentive for Lewis to try to get it done against Biggs in something shorter than that?
Well, you know, Riddick Bowe may have taken something out of Biggs. That remains to be seen. But certainly, Lewis is going to try to do a better job.
All right, Gil. And let's take a look now at the 1984 Olympic super heavyweight gold medalist Tyrell Biggs as he gets ready to make his way to the ring. Biggs, of course, 4 years ago was the star heavyweight in the Duvas main event stable when he fought against Mike Tyson in 1987 in Atlantic City. At that time, the Duvas still had Evander Holyfield fighting in the cruiserweight division. And shortly after his knockout loss to Tyson, the Duvas split from Tyrell Biggs. They believed that he no longer had it to be a contender in the heavyweight division. So one of Biggs' motives here tonight is an entirely personal one, to show his former employers that he is still the kind of fighter that they once believed he was.
One of the unusual things about Biggs, Gil, is that he openly talks about the fact that he's gone from a headliner to an opponent.
Well, yes, it certainly was unusual. He put himself in perspective. He said, I used to be the superstar. I was the guy that was building up. Now they're trying to use me to build up other guys. He said, but I think I can still fight.
There's Tyrell Biggs' record, as you can see. Since he was defeated by Mike Tyson, he's won 5 and lost 4.
And maybe the best argument he can make that he can still fight was that showing against Bowe, because for much of the fight he was competitive and looked better than he had in years, Gil.
He certainly was, and at the one time in the fight, he had Bo in trouble, and it was the first time I saw him really set down on punches and really bang away, and that's what he says he's going to do tonight.
All right, now here comes the man who knocked out Riddick Bowe in Seoul, South Korea for the Olympic gold medal in 1988. Lennox Lewis. He is Canadian and English, fighting out of England now, and this will only be his second appearance of an 18-fight career. Tonight, fight number 18 as he comes back to the USA.
The question I have, Gil, is whether being an amateur, however successful for so long, could hurt him the way it might have hurt Biggs. That whether that amateur attitude and style was so deeply ingrained that they never become real professional prize fighters.
Well, you know, that is a very good point. And Larry, he brought over a very good amateur trainer by the name of John Davenport, but I stressed the word amateur. And so whether or not it would have been better for him to get a more professional guy like an Eddie Fudge, for example, remains to be seen. But certainly amateur boxing is different from professional boxing. We'll see tonight whether he's advancing the same way, for example, a Riddick Bowe has advanced.
And the record for Lennox Lewis, 17 wins, no losses against an almost ludicrously weak list of opponents. 15 of the wins by knockout. And we take a look at the tail of the tape, and you will see that the two fighters are almost identical in size and frame, both in the range of 6'5", both around 230 pounds. So they will face each other as physical equals. And the last time they fought, incidentally, the one previous meeting between the two, was in 1984 in Los Angeles. This, incidentally, is the first heavyweight fight between two heavyweight Olympic gold medalists since Foreman defeated Frazier on January 22, 1973. And again, we remind you, Lewis, the 1988 gold medalist, Biggs beat Lewis with a 5-0 decision at Los Angeles en route to the gold medal in 1984.
And here are our punch stat numbers to give you an idea of just how these fighters fight. Lewis, as you can see, a more accurate puncher. And as you can also see, although Biggs is well known for his jab, Lewis throws more jabs than he. This is a matchup of two power forwards who like to move in behind big jabs.
Rules, and for that we turn it over to our unofficial official scorer, Harold Letterman.
Lennox Lewis and Tyrell Biggs will fight tonight using the rules of the Georgia State Athletic Commission. 3 judges scored a fight on a 10-point must system. No standing 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule is in effect, and you cannot be saved by the bell in any round, including the last. And if if the fight is stopped because of a cut produced by an accidental headbutt, we go to the scorecards after 5 rounds have been completed. Up until then, it's a technical draw.
All right, Harold, thanks very much. Right now, let's go to the familiar face and voice of ring announcer Michael Buffer for pre-fight introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Omni Arena here in one of America's greatest sports cities, Atlanta, Georgia, where tonight, Main Event Monitor Productions, in association with the undisputed, undefeated King of Beer, Budweiser, presents professional boxing for your entertainment. All the bouts tonight, ladies and gentlemen, are sanctioned by the Georgia State Athletic Boxing Commission. The 3 judges assigned to this first bout will be Erwin Deutsch, Bobby Ezor, and Frank Skilbred. And the 3rd man in the ring for this contest is Frank Santor. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a special bout in the heavyweight division scheduled for 10 rounds. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks with black trim. He weighs an even 231 pounds. He is the 1984 Olympic gold medal champion in the super heavyweight division, and now as a professional, his record is 19-4 with 12 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Tyrell, the TV And across the ring in the blue corner, his opponent wearing the red trunks with black trim, weighing in at 230.5 pounds. He also is an Olympic gold medal champion in the super heavyweight division from 1988. He's undefeated now as a professional. 17-0, 15 by KO, ranked number 3 in the world by the WBA. Ladies and gentlemen, from East London, England, Lennox Lewis.
Who knows the instructions in the dressing room? Remember, they might come in at all times. Any questions? Protect yourself at all
little high, aren't they?
The main question as we go into this fight is whether Tyrell Biggs can muster the same kind of enthusiasm and energy as he had against Riddick Bowe. If he does, he can make a very good fight out of it, perhaps even win it.
Among heavyweight contenders, Lennox Lewis is ranked 3rd by the WBA, 5th by the IBF, and 6th by the WBC. Tyrell Biggs, after his loss to Bowe, is no longer ranked in the top 10 by any organization. Lewis comes out firing and lands a right hand to drive Bowe into the ropes.
Great, there you go.
Make it Biggs, not Bowe.
You may be thinking of the future, Larry.
Yeah, I'm thinking of something that might happen down the road.
Biggs looks a little soft around the middle to me.
Doesn't look as sharply trained as was the case against Bowe a couple of months ago. Biggs told us he only had 2.5 or 3 weeks in which to get ready for this fight. And maybe Lewis senses that and has made a determined effort to come out of the blocks extremely fast. And now Biggs tries to get the jab going.
And you know, it's unusual for the book on Lennox Lewis is that he's a very careful fighter. Works behind the jab. And for him to move out of the blocks like that, Jim, is quite a surprise. He looks like he wants to get it over with in the first round.
Clearly wants to make an impression on American viewers and the American boxing writers seated at ringside. When Tyrell Biggs can get the jab working, he is a very stylish-looking heavyweight. Wild right hand, just missed by Lewis.
One of Biggs' biggest problems in the past was that he tried to punch and get out of the way at the same time. And it took all of the sting out of his punches. He said tonight that he's going to sit down on his punches, and he finally realized that he has to hit you and hurt you when he fights you, not any amateur.
Both men are landing the jab here. Biggs has not tried to follow with anything. Lewis is the one who is throwing big right hands over the top, most of which have missed so far, except for the one early connect that pushed Biggs into the ropes.
But as you can see, Tyrell Biggs is fighting from a flat-footed stance, which is very, very unusual for him. None of the side-to-side movement, not on his toes.
Lead left hook just missed for Lewis. Now 2 right hands land, and another. And Biggs ties him up. Round 1 coming to a close. Lewis lands 2 more right hands. Biggs in a little trouble, but the bell is going to sound.
We spoke about the amateur attitude that might be ingrained in these fighters from their long amateur histories, but right there, Lennox Lewis showed us some real professional attitude.
Relax and use your jab, okay?
He certainly did, Larry. He came right out bombing.
Okay? Just stay relaxed, okay? Stay relaxed. Stay relaxed, Tyrell.
Stay relaxed. Stay relaxed. There you see Lewis squaring off and trying to put some real hurt on Biggs. Same sequence, different angle. It's unusual for a British heavyweight of any kind to fight this way. Gil, we're usually used to seeing them wanting to lay back, amateur or professional.
Well, you know, I did mention the fact that John Davenport, an American trainer, is his trainer, moved over from New Jersey. But again, John has worked mostly with amateur fighters. But you can see that Lennox Lewis looks like he certainly has advanced quite a bit since
well, he
his
was
amateur
exceptionally
days.
aggressive in his last fight against former cruiserweight Glenn McCrory, and he has come out firing again tonight. Lewis, once again, pinning Biggs against the ropes with right hands, and now Tyrell pivots off the ropes and lands a couple body shots.
There's that trying to punch and get out of the way at the same time. You saw Biggs flick that left hand out. Didn't quite reach Lewis with the punch. There it is again. Short with the jab.
Well, Larry talked about the amateur experience. Biggs was a great amateur where the payoff is for putting your glove on the target. In professional boxing, you should put your glove through the target. And it took him a long time to learn to even try that.
Well, Jim, I think you should put your glove through the target whether you're an amateur or a pro, because if you hit a guy with a stiff punch, you knock him off balance and you can hit him with 2 or 3 more.
There's a trickle of blood now from Tyrell Biggs' mouth, spilling over the lower lip. Left hand was solid. If you saw Biggs Tyson in 1987, you know that Tyrell gets a very pained expression on his face, almost as though he's about to weep when he's being badly beaten in the ring. Traces of that expression are already beginning to creep around the eyes of Tyrell Biggs tonight.
Lennox Lewis looks like much the stronger guy physically, Jim. Looks like he can handle Tyrell on the inside.
There was a solid jab from Biggs, and now he tries to follow up with a body and lands twice. And Lewis continues to step forward. That right hand did not connect. So the crowd loved the effort. Uppercut is solid, and Tyrell Biggs once again pinned against the ropes. And Biggs with a left to the body and a left over the top.
Good stiff left hook by Tyrell Biggs. And Jim, this is the first time I've ever seen him fight this way, completely flat-footed and really trying to bang away. That's what he told us he was going to do in the interview, and that's what he's doing.
10 seconds to go in round number 2, and in the second half of this round, Biggs has started to come alive a little.
Stop.
And we remind you, coming up a little bit later in the evening, our live coverage of the heavyweight championship fight between that man, 29-year-old Evander Holyfield, in his hometown to take on the opponent of the week, Smokin' Bert Cooper. Once again, if you're not a boxing fan, the intention for Holyfield tonight had been to fight Francesco Damiani of Italy. He dropped out less than a week ago with a twisted ankle. Bert Cooper is the chosen opponent with less than a week's notice. And some people think that Cooper will be a lot more dangerous for Holyfield than Damiani would have been.
Right? Jab, right hand. Hands up, start stepping to him, okay? Start stepping to him. Remember, but step in with your jab, right hand behind him, okay? Take control.
Very often the difference in fights like these is you have one fighter on the way up who's never had his shot, still has a dream of being a champion. The other fighter has had his shot. Can the other fighter, meaning Biggs, really sustain his enthusiasm through a barrage of punches?
Well, Larry, if in fact Biggs can land a couple of good solid punches, he can get that adrenaline flowing. But he can get discouraged a lot easier than a Lennox Lewis can get discouraged in a fight.
And right now in this round, he's already taken 2 discouraging right hands. That one just missed. But this is rapidly deteriorating toward target practice for Lennox Lewis. There's a good stiff jab. And another. And there's the right hand he was supposed to follow with.
I like the way Lennox Lewis goes back down to the body with that left hook after he throws a combination to the head.
One of the things for which Lewis has been criticized in the English press is an inability to put punches together. So he has been working on that.
One I noticed with Lennox Lewis, there's that left hook underneath again. One thing I noticed, he really doesn't feint as much as I think he should feint. He walks, he gets within punching range and snaps that jab right out. Sometimes it's good, you feint a little bit, let the guy fall for the feint, then you nail him.
Very little head movement for Lewis. Could be a problem later on, particularly for a guy who's 6 feet 5 inches tall, and down goes Biggs from the solid right cross.
That was a good, solid right hand right on the chin.
7, 8.
Tyrell's going to get up at 8.
Here we are.
Gets a little breather. He showed courage against Bo. And there's another right hand, and that might be it.
2, 3.
I think that Tyrell is starting to think that to himself, Jim, that might be it.
Well, he's going to make one more try.
8. You okay? You want to go?
No 3 knockdown rule in effect here. No 3 knockdown rule. So Tyrell can go down again without automatically being out of the fight. Both knockdowns were on the right cross. Lewis throws another one. Biggs goes down again, and the referee's seen enough.
That's an impressive victory for Lennox Lewis. A good scalp to have. And I'll go in the ring and find out where he's going from here.
Okay, let's do that, Larry. See if he's going to pick his next opponent by committee, or who's going to pick the opponent.
Well, you're right. He told us before that he was very enthusiastic about going ahead with top-flight opponents, but that his business managers had to temper him. My interpretation of that was he wants to fight bums, and they don't want him to fight anybody that good.
Well, but now he has the most credible name yet on his dossier of vanquished opponents. And for Biggs, whether he will listen or not, surely several people will advise him that this should have been the last time around.
Well, you know, he was very, very impressive in this performance, Jim. Come right out, look to get the guy out right away, search and destroy. That's what he was doing, and he did it.
You know, one of his hobbies is playing chess, Lennox Lewis. And I thought how appropriate for a guy who has a reputation as a boxer. But he didn't play chess out here. He was playing Search and Destroy Nintendo.
That's correct.
All right, let's take a look at the 2 3 knockdowns make it in round number 2. There was the first solid right cross, as you said, Gil, right on the button. Tyrell making the mistake of coming up with no glove in front of his face.
Anytime you slip a punch, Jim, as you said, he should have come up throwing a left hook, even just to protect himself. But instead, as you can see here, doesn't do a thing. He just stays there and bang right on the chin. Lewis looked like so much strong. He looked so much stronger.
Here's the second of the 3 knockdowns. There's the wild left that Biggs threw in attempted retaliation. And clearly he was still groggy from the right cross that produced the first knockdown.
Yeah, the second knockdown certainly was not a solid punch. You can see it just about caught him almost in the back of the neck. But you can see.
And now we'll take a look at knockdown number 3. They were against the ropes as Lewis tried to finish things off. The uppercut was vicious, and Biggs had had enough.
He certainly did. And if you take a look, he looks really like he's been battered badly in the 3 rounds.
There's the uppercut that set up the final punch. So Tyrell Biggs is waved off after the 3rd knockdown, and Lennox Lewis has the 18th win of his career, the 16th by knockout. And we go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official particulars.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Frank Santor stops this bout in the 3rd round, enforcing the 3 knockdown rule. The official time, 2 minutes, 47 seconds of the 3rd round. The winner by TKO victory, still undefeated, Lennox Lewis.
Harold Letterman, a quick clarification. Weren't we under the impression that the 3 knockdown rule was not in effect here in Georgia?
Jim, they went back and forth a couple of times. I spoke to the supervisor of officials who told me that both sides have to agree, otherwise the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. You know, they kept going back and forth and back and forth. Finally, I got the impression that the 3 knockdown rule was in effect, and I guess the referee thought that way and stopped the fight.
All right. Let's go to Larry Merchant with the winner.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Lennox. Were you determined here tonight to put on an impressive show, and in particular to dispose of Biggs faster than Riddick Bowe did?
Yes, definitely, because I know that me and Riddick Bowe are going to be compared, and I definitely wanted to knock out Tyrell Biggs as fast and as soon as possible. This is what takes 7 weeks in camp, and, you know, I took it out on Tyrell Biggs.
You have been talking about making an adjustment to being a professional fighter. Would you say this was your most professional fight in the sense that you, in fact, were a destroyer out there tonight and not a boxer?
Well, definitely. You know, I had to learn to really take my time out there and look professional, go professional, and do my work professionally, in a professional order.
So you no longer feel that you have to sit back, box, take advantage when something opens, but that you want to make your openings?
I definitely want to make my openings. Lennox Lewis is on a mission, and Tyrell Biggs is a stepping stone for me. So I feel great, confident, and ready.
Describe the mission for us.
The mission is to be the world heavyweight champion, and all I need is a couple more fights, and then I'll be in there against the champion.
Can you give us any idea of what your program, your schedule would be, how you see 1992 unfolding for you, who you want to fight?
Well, I just want to fight anybody that they put me in against, because I have a lot of confidence in my own ability. My next fight is in February 1st. So, you know, that would be another progressive step that I'm going to be making.
Thank you, and we will be watching your progress, Lennox Lewis. Thank you. Jim?
All right, Larry, so Lennox Lewis takes another step toward big-time heavyweight contention, and we're going to talk to one of the big-time heavyweight contenders of all time right now. We mentioned that George Foreman is not with us this evening. He's down in Houston, where he's been training for the December 7 matchup live on HBO with Jimmy Ellis. But we've got him all hooked up and watching and getting ready to work with us on a part-time basis. George, if you can hear me, what did you think of Lennox Lewis in that 8-minute and 47-second showing?
I was more than impressed. He's a great boxer and a good right-hand puncher. I tell you this, I don't want any parts of him.
Well, we probably knew that. I know you don't want to fight too many other people other than whoever's holding the heavyweight championship belt.
I'm trying to lose that weight, but everywhere I go, there's Lufkin Barbecue, Luther's Barbecue, and I'm not having a whole lot of progress.
Life is one big party for you, George, and that's one of the things we love about you.
One big barbecue party.
Yeah. Do you think that Biggs was a credible enough opponent and showed enough of an effort here for this to be a real positive credential on Lewis's record?
Well, Biggs, you got to say positive things about him, but as he said on that floor, the song "Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen" came to my mind. And it seems like he's had a few too many fights.
Among the other young heavyweight contenders, Mercer, Bowe, Michael Moore, who scored a first-round knockout on the undercard here tonight. Is Lewis ready to go ahead and face one of them?
No doubt in my mind, he would match, and probably beat each and every one of them. But that Mercer seems to be a little more than tough.
What do you expect out of Holyfield Cooper coming up?
Boy, now Holyfield Cooper, there's two faces of Burke Cooper. One is the guy who could come out and whip anybody. If you give him enough room, he'll run you out of that ring. And the other, you just don't know. And I think tonight, if he had 5 weeks to prepare for this fight, he'd run Holyfield out of that ring. But he didn't have a whole lot of time.
On the other hand, Holyfield has only 1 week to prepare for a guy who is a considerably more aggressive fighter and a harder puncher than the previous opponent, Francesco Damiani. Is this a particularly dangerous fight for Holyfield because of that?
Particularly if Cooper really gets wound up and warm, win, lose, or draw, Evander Holyfield can get hurt and hurt bad. I mean, broken jaws and things of that nature.
All right, George, thanks for the build-up. That should excite some of our viewers, and we'll look forward to talking to you after the conclusion of the main event. George Foreman live via satellite down in Houston. That takes care of the first fight of the evening. And now, with the conclusion of those festivities, we get ready now for Evander Holyfield's hometown defense of 2/3 of his heavyweight title against Smokin' Bert Cooper.